Hi, I'm Matthew McFarland.
And I'm Eddie Estrada.
And this is Highbrow.
Lowbrow.
What up, Eddie? How are you? We're live from Mexico and from New York.
I know, two worlds, one family, as Phil Collins said.
Yes.
That was Phil Collins, right?
There might be a slight delay because like I said, I'm in New York, Eddie's in Mexico, and we're doing the Zoom thing again. We're back to, it's like quarantine all over again.
I know. I'm like, who are you? I haven't seen you. I mean, how's it been in the, what? Have 4 days since you've been returned to New York City?
It's a little bit of a culture shock, I'm not going to lie. It's a little intense. It's good to be back. I'm thrilled to be back, but like the pace is so drastically different from where you are that like I forgot almost. But I feel good. It's nice and cold here though. It's like not freezing, but it's like in that 40s right now, so it's like brisk. It's really, really nice.
Will it be cold when I get there in 2 weeks?
Oh, it'll be freezing when you get back. It'll be so cold.
Not looking forward to that. But I am looking for,
it's great,
I do miss
though.
the hustle and
we love
bustle.
New York in the winter.
Yeah. New York is magic. So.
Magic.
Well, this week, for Highbrow Lowbrow, we talked about Tom Hanks. We watched his movies. But before we get into that, we need to go over our highbrow and lowbrow moment of the week.
Even before we get into that, we do want to clarify one thing. So,
yes.
We were going to do The Burbs and Philadelphia. And not Philadelphia Story, which is a 1940s film. Philadelphia, 1993. So we did do Philadelphia for the highbrow. We will be talking about that today. But The Burbs, we thought it was rentable on Amazon. But we think back in October, maybe it was when we made the schedule for what we were going to do. It is nowhere to be found on Amazon. You can't stream it anywhere. Eddie went through such great strides to like try to get it in Mexico, but we were not successful. So instead, we decided to do one of his other films, That Thing You Do, where he plays a featured role, but he also wrote and directed the film. So we thought that was a really cool, that sort of a little curveball to throw at everyone. So we'll be doing Philadelphia and That Thing You Do instead, which I think honestly is better.
No, The Burbs is so good, and I'm gonna find a way that we can do The Burbs next season, maybe with Carrie Fisher, because she's in it as well, and Bruce Dern's in it. It's got a lot of really good people in it, but I was really sad. I tried to like hack Amazon. I tried to pretend like I was in Mexico, and I tried to use the VPNs we've been using for other stuff. Nothing worked. It was a 2-day ordeal. No one wants us to see this movie. I actually did rent The Burbs here in Mexico on YouTube, but it was in Spanish. So, and no English subtitles, nothing. So either we got to practice our Spanish or we're not going to see the movie. But I'm shocked that it wasn't anywhere to be found.
Yeah, me too. Because I've only heard really great things about it. So, but I think the episode's still gonna be cracking.
It will still be a great episode. I mean, we'll get into it, but the movie I chose, That Thing You Do, is a classic and one of my favorite movies I think I've from my childhood. So we will get into that. But highbrow and lowbrow moment of the week. Have you watched anything? Done anything?
So that's the thing is it's only been a couple days since I left you in Mexico, and I haven't had a moment to really watch anything new.
Okay.
But just a moment in film, TV, theater culture that I just wanted to talk about instead is my favorite actor on the face of the planet, Miss Jessica Chastain. It was announced today that she will be returning to Broadway this spring in the revival of A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. But what's cool about this revival is Amy Herzog, the amazing contemporary playwright, is sort of doing an adaptation of it. So it will be the Henrik Ibsen story, but I think with new words, which will be very, very exciting.
Interesting.
So that's my sort of highbrow and lowbrow moment of the week. I just can't wait to see that in the spring.
Okay. I like that.
Have you had time? I know your whole family's over there. What have you guys been watching?
Yeah, my family has now dropped into the base. This is like my one quiet time I've had away from them all. But I have been able to watch a couple things. I'm going to do my highbrow and lowbrow. So my lowbrow is Dancing with the Stars. which I know you watched as
Okay.
well. And it's the week before the finale. And I just got to say, like, I know it's Lowbrow, but you guys, this season of Dancing with the Stars has some phenomenal dancers on it. I'm going to say spoiler alert right now. Fast forward 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this. But we found out the top 4, which are Shangela, who I love, Wayne Brady, Gabby Windy, who's the Bachelorette, who I'm low-key obsessed with. She's like, I want to be best friends with her.
She's so good.
And Charlie D'Amelio, who, if she wins, I'm going to be upset because she is a dancer by trade as well and kind of like a JoJo Siwa, but not like as
She has
professional.
millions of followers on TikTok,
so I'm really
hundreds of
pulling
millions.
for, honestly, I'm pulling for Shangela to win, but that's just me in my own thing. But I also wanted to extend my gratitude to Len Goodman because he announced that he's no longer going to be a judge on Dancing with the Stars. And if you're a Dancing with the Stars fan, that's like, it's like huge, and it's the
end of an era.
So many people. It's the end of an era. I don't think they're going to bring anyone new in. I think it's just going to be Derek and the other 2. Maybe they'll bring in Julianne or like some guest judges here and there and do that a little bit more. But yeah, I was kind of devastated when I got you texted me and you're like, "There's big Dancing with the Stars news."
Well, because it was always 3, right? It started out with just 3, and then they brought it. Well, I think they brought Derek in because they knew that
COVID.
Len's retirement was looming. Like, and they knew that he would probably finish out his contract a couple years, and then that would be the end.
Well, with COVID, he wasn't able to fully come in and judge, and so there was like a lot of issues. So they brought in Derek kind of to mitigate that, and now he's kind of taken over. And people are so mean to Len. Like, you need to be nicer to Len. If I was there, I'd just be like, Len, I love you the whole time. But that's my Lowbrow moment, my Highbrow moment. If you aren't watching it, the White Lotus is happening right now, and I
haven't caught up yet.
It is so good. We watched the first 2 episodes here in Mexico. 3rd episode, it's just art. And I was joking, and I kind of was saying I'm kind of living in a White Lotus right now because I am in a very like fancy place in a very like not I'm in the middle of nowhere, Mexico, basically like a beach town, and I feel like I'm encroaching on these people. I don't know. It's
100%.
It's kind of White Lotus-y. I don't know. It's not
Absolutely.
like a 4 seasons. Like, this is like a residence, but
Oh, I guess I do have one thing that I did watch that I can talk about. It's The Problem with Jon Stewart. It's on Apple TV Plus. It's, if you know Jon Stewart, he was the longtime host of The Daily Show until Trevor Noah took over, and now Trevor Noah is exiting. But Jon Stewart has a new show on Apple TV Plus called The Problem with Jon Stewart. And it's similar to what he did on The Daily Show, but it's a little bit more raw.
okay.
And uncensored.
Yeah.
And I love it. Season 2 just ended this past week. They're coming back in January. And I highly recommend it. If you like John Oliver on HBO, if you like Trevor Noah, if you like any of that like politics comedy crossover, it's fabulous. So yeah, that's my
I'm a fan of The Problem as well. We watch it. I haven't watched the most recent episode, so I need to catch up, but
It's great.
yeah.
Okay. So, since we gotten through our moments of the week, let's dive into the movies. So Philadelphia, I don't think either one of us had seen it.
Oh, really?
Is that correct?
See, I thought you had seen it. So
Nope.
I thought you had seen Philadelphia. See, when I told my mom that was the movie we were doing, she's like, "Oh, you're gonna love that movie. It's a great movie." And I had never seen it, but she was like, "It's so good." I have a full disclaimer to put about Tom Hanks. We are big Tom Hanks fans in my family. I personally am a huge Tom Hanks fan, and I said it on last pod, but I'm just gonna do my little moment. I know we do a history of people, but Tom Hanks and I were born not only in the same town, but in the same hospital. Him and I were both born in Mount Diablo Hospital in Concord, California. I mean, they didn't announce his birth, but I was in the paper because I was the 4th living generation who had been born in that hospital. And so they did a big like little news story about us because
Wow.
And then a year later, I did happen to win the Concord Halloween costume contest at just a year old in a lion costume that my grandmother made. So some may say Tom Hanks is the most famous person to come out of Concord, but for a while I was the most famous person in Concord.
Estrada, Hanks. The names are
You know.
indiscernible. Like they're the same. They're the same.
He also did go to Sac State for college, which both my parents went to Sac State. He's a little bit older than them, so they didn't cross paths. But yeah, so I just always have had like a little, like, I guess a little bit of a connection and a love for Mr. Hanks because of that.
Yeah, it's funny. Recently, I liked him in, I didn't like News of the World, but I liked him. He was,
Oh
he
my
was
God,
good.
News of the World. I forgot that movie.
Oh my God, that movie was stupid.
We
I'm
bought
sorry.
that on Fandango to watch, and we're like, why did we buy this movie?
Why did we buy this movie? A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. He was great. He was good, but like the 90s, like Sleepless in Seattle and Forrest Gump, and now this, like he had, and That Thing You Do, like there were like the movies that I love him the most are in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I loved this movie.
We're talking about
despite
Philadelphia,
some
right?
directorial choices, I really I thought he and Denzel were amazing, and I loved this movie. I thought it was great. And before I get into my whole spiel, since I'm usually the highbrow person, why don't you give a brief synopsis of what you thought this movie was about?
Yeah, and I know I joke usually on my synopsis for movies, but I do want to take this one a bit seriously because it is a pretty heavy, I guess, what is it called? Like topic? What is that word? Topic?
The subject matter is very deep.
It's intense. Yeah. So I believe it takes place in the 90s. Is it based on a true story?
So yes and no. I'll get
Okay.
into that in a little bit, but yes and no.
Okay.
So there's a
essentially-
family that claims that it was about their son who died. Scott Rudin, who was a producer on the film, put the kibosh on that, which is yeah, I know it's
Scott
so Scott Rudin.
Rudin. Where have I
But
heard that name before?
It is. I'll go ahead and give credit. It is loosely based on a case that was similar, with similar circumstances.
Okay. So the story is in Philadelphia. It is about this high-powered attorney who is just at the top of his game, killing it, gets this amazing case, and is basically going to be promoted to senior associate. I do work in law recruitment now, so I know the difference between associate, senior associate, partner, managing partner, all the above. So it's a big deal to move from associate to senior associate, and he's been working for this, obviously, for a while. He's got this amazing, great case. The firm is completely behind him. They love him. But after they give him the case, you come to find out he has AIDS. And the AIDS is progressing in his body. It seems to be like more towards the later stages of the disease. So he is, moving toward death. And one of the managing partners does see a lesion on his head. He writes it off that it's like a racquetball, accident. But at the end of this, at the end of the case that he was working on, somehow the documents that are needed go missing, even though he was sick and he dropped off the materials himself at the firm. Cut to, he is fired for basically being negligent on the job and not being able to work the case that he was supposed to be on. And they kind of say all these things like, you have an attitude and, we can't trust you. You're either on or you're off, even though he's shown no signs of that previously. So he takes his case to Denzel Washington and basically goes, I was fired. And I think it was, they sabotaged me and paid it off as incompetence. But, I think it's because they knew I had AIDS. And Denzel does not want to take the case at first. He's very homophobic. He's very afraid of AIDS because at this point, people didn't really know the full breadth of the disease and didn't know, how you could actually get it, what it entails. And, there was that great shot of, Tom Hanks in his office, and he's just looking at the lesion on his head. The camera zooms the lesion on the head, him touching a cigar, him putting his hat on the table, back to the lesion. Like, just, you see kind of where Denzel's like, you know, and then he gets worried, he calls a doctor. But, you know, eventually Denzel, after he denies his case, decides to jump on it. And it's kind of not only a story of them creating this case to, you know, show that the firm was, you know, discriminating and against someone who has this disease, but also it shows kind of how Denzel moves from his homophobia, even though it's very strong through most of the movie. He kind of understands that, you know, Tom Hanks is just another person who deserves respect, who deserves, you know, to have his job. And it kind of changes the tides. In the end, spoiler alert, obviously Tom Hanks does die, but he does win his case against the firm. And it was a beautiful movie. It definitely was very touching. It's not an easy watch, but it's great. And I agree with you. I think a lot of the directorial choices in this, I think a lot of the characters in this, I mean, it shows a different side, I think, than what you would have seen this disease being portrayed as at the time. I mean, you have a family who is so supportive and behind him and understands that you got him with, you know, a partner who doesn't have the disease, played by Antonio Banderas. I was like, what? Who knew he was going to be in this?
Died.
Yeah, it was a really, really great film. And I don't know, correct me if I missed anything, but I think I kind of gave the basic spiel of what went down.
Yeah, so, no, you did. So it's the story of Andrew Beckett, like you said, a high-powered attorney who was the top of his class at Penn and was highly sought after by this high-powered firm in Philadelphia. And he is painted as like the top. You're right. He's painted as the best at the firm, and we come to find out that he does have AIDS. And you're right. There was a lesion on his forehead. He tells the associate, or he tells the partners, it's just a racquetball accident. We find out later that one of the partners actually knew another person, a woman at a sister firm, who had AIDS as well, had lesions, was upfront about her disease, was not, you know, fired for it, but the partner has seen it before. So we're sort of led to believe that the partner knew, and that's how they were able to, and they were waiting, I guess, for the right moment to fire him. And this was this incident where he finishes up this big case, but somehow the brief for this case mysteriously goes missing, and there's sort of a race to get it filed by the court deadline. And even though it is filed on time, this is the small little bump in the road that they're able to use to fire him. And yeah, I didn't know Denzel was in it. He plays Joe Miller, this sort of rival attorney who there were so many things about it that were so moving. So this was directed by Jonathan Demme, who won his Oscar for directing Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
And he also directed Rachel Getting Married, which is another movie we'll be covering next season.
Yeah,
when we do Anne
especially with
Hathaway.
the news we just heard now about Princess Diaries 3 coming out.
I know. I know. I was going to text you about that. I'm so excited about Princess Diaries 3. And you know what? When I found out that he directed the film, it makes so much sense, because if you remember Silence of the Lambs, there's a lot of close-ups. There's a lot of in-your-face shots, and in this film, there's a lot of that between Denzel and between Tom. There's a lot of really close, shots to get every, you know, like scrap of emotion, and this was the first film of its kind that put AIDS at the forefront of everyone's minds. It put homosexuality and homophobia at the front of everyone's minds. And it was the first big Hollywood, recognition of the gay plight in the 90s, the epidemic that killed so many of us.
Yeah.
And, and I'll talk about this a little bit more later when I mention some remarks that Tom made about the film. But this was not a film that people were jumping to do because of the stigma behind playing a gay character in Hollywood. But Tom and Denzel rose to the occasion. And I gotta just say, on a personal note, like, this movie probably would not have gotten made had Tom not said yes. And I think that this was the beginning of what?
I said, what a guy, Tom.
Truly. I mean, I don't think that. I think this started an entirely new conversation about AIDS and gay people in American culture, but also in Hollywood. I think from the 90s onward, that's when we really started to see the tide turn for acceptance of gay people in the country. And, you know, the fact that Antonio Banderas is in the, and again, another man that we look at this time, and we still do, as like the pinnacle of masculinity, and seeing him come in as like the sensitive but strong lover, who like wants to protect his partner. And I just thought that this movie, like, not only did it illustrate, you know, the complexities of a black man in America, and the hypermasculinity in that community, and how that translated into Joe Miller, Denzel's character, into how he felt about Tom, and how he eventually comes around. Because initially, and you already brought up that beautiful scene where he comes in and their first encounter in the office, when the camera's, you know, panning to all of the things that Tom is touching, which again, it speaks to the stigma and to the complete misunderstanding and lack of knowledge about the disease at the time. Yeah. But to see him say no at first, but then to see Andrew Beckett's humanity, and to eventually say yes, and to believe that the law in America belongs to everybody, not just for a chosen few, really moved me. I loved the family dynamic, like the fact that he had such an incredible family. One of my favorite actors ever, Ann Dowd. For those of you who don't know her, she was Emmy nominated for her featured role on The Leftovers on HBO, and she won an Emmy recently for her very scary role on The Handmaid's Tale. To see her in this, I just loved. Her part wasn't that big, but the small choices she made throughout the film I thought were spectacular. The mother, I don't know who that actress is, but the mother,
fantastic,
killed me. Absolutely fantastic. And to juxtapose the love and support of the family against the just absolute cruelty of the culture of America at the time. I thought Mary Steenburgen as the lawyer was absolutely amazing, because,
you know,
like,
I love Mary Steenburgen from.
Oh, hold on, Alexa's talking to me. Yes, Mary Steenburgen.
What is she from? What's that show
love.
I like? Zoe's Ultimate Playlist. Or
Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist.
That's it. That's the one.
And
I'm like an 80-year-old woman.
And we all know her to be this, like, the epitome of love and compassion and sweetness. And so for her to play someone who has to be ruthless in their persecution of a gay man.
I gotta say, I loved that one quick line in that scene where she sits down after doing the mirror and she goes, "I hate this case." Because she, like, as a lawyer, regardless of your feelings about a case, if you're assigned to a case, you got to do it. That's your job. And to see her have that just, like, moment where she's like, I'm doing my job, but this is not what I want to be doing. Brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I thought that, I just thought that was all beautifully done. I mean, again, the scenes between Tom and Denzel were truly the highlights of the film.
Yeah.
There were a couple things directorially that I may not have done. I did love the Bruce Springsteen song that won Best Song, by the way, at the Oscars that year, Streets of Philadelphia.
Is that what that wasn't the movie, the song at the end of the movie that they're playing, like?
No, at the beginning.
Okay.
There was another one at the end that was also nominated that didn't win, but Bruce's also, it won like a bunch of Grammys, like Song of the Year. Like it was a big song that year.
Okay.
Yeah. I liked that it started the film. I didn't like that they kept bringing it in, to be honest.
Okay.
Howard Shore is an incredible composer, but there were I loved most of the music in there, but some of the music, it felt very Mrs. Doubtfire-y. Like it felt a little light when this movie sort of is there's a darkness to this movie.
Yeah.
That I was like, I don't know if atmospherically it really fits, but I think there's so many moments that I absolutely loved, but I think one of my favorites is when Tom and Denzel, it's right before the last night of the trial, and Tom is turning on the opera music and sort of going off into this other
like dream state and
Denzel being able to witness this. I mean, just that whole scene was just so well done, well shot, well crafted. It was very theatrical. I thought it was so great. Yeah, again, I would change a couple things directorially, but I love the passage of time, the way that they set that up. But I kind of wanted, and this is just me as like a viewer, I just wanted like a more of a gotcha moment in the trial. Like I wanted to find out like where the brief went, like who took it and kind of hid it somewhere, like or who misplaced it.
I mean, you're not going to get that in every case, and I think that kind of made it more real for me. You know what I mean? Like it was at the end of the day, it's not going to be a gotcha moment. It's just going to say, hey, this is the case that's laid out. We're not going. They hid themselves. They tried to hide themselves well, and they did because we can't pinpoint it on a person. But what they did was wrong. But yeah, I don't. You're know. Right. I appreciated that choice.
You're right. Well, no, you're right, because if the goal of the film is to sort of really hammer home that every person deserves equal protection under the law, no matter what.
Yeah.
Having it be sort of clinical like that, that is like it. I think that was it's more digestible for
and the movie wasn't about
American
finding
audience.
This person. It was about bringing justice to Andrew Beckett at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I enjoyed it. Anything else you want to say about this movie?
So yes, there are a few more things I wanted to talk about. So Jeffrey Browers, that's the name of the man that we believe that this movie is loosely based on.
Okay.
His life. So I just wanted to put his name out there. Rest in peace. The movie made an astounding $206 million. And it was a $26 million to make, and it was, I think, ended up being the 12th highest grossing film of 1993. So it did very, very well.
Wow.
It won an Oscar for Best Original Song, and Tom Hanks won the Oscar. And I actually just wanted to read his acceptance speech, if you'll let me. All right, I'm just going to read it off here like a teleprompter. Okay.
Yes.
Here's what I know. I could not be standing here without that undying love that was just sung about by not Bruce, but Neil Young. And I have that in a lover that is so close to fine, we should all be able to experience such heaven right here on earth. Talking about his wife, Rita.
Gotta love
Rita. I know also that I should not be doing this. I should not be here, but I am because of the union of such filmmakers as Ed Saxon, Ron Neiswainer, Christy Zaya, Tak Fujimoto, Jonathan Demme, who seems to have these, referring to the Oscar, attached to his limbs for every actor that works with him as of late. And a cast that includes Antonio Banderas, who, second to my lover, is the only person I would trade for. And a cast that includes many other people, but the actor who really put his film image at risk and shone because of his integrity, Mr. Denzel Washington, who I really must share this with. I would not be standing here if it weren't for two very important men in my life. So, two that I haven't spoken with in a while, but I had the pleasure of just the other evening. Mr. Rowley Farnsworth, who was my high school drama teacher who taught me to act well the part, there all the glory lies. And one of my classmates under Mr. Farnsworth, Mr. John Gilkerson. I mention their names because they are two of the finest gay Americans, two wonderful men that I had the good fortune to be associated with, to fall under their inspiration at such a young age. I wish my babies could have that same sort of teacher, those same sort of friends. And there lies my dilemma tonight. I know that my work on this case is magnified by the fact that the streets of heaven are too crowded with angels tonight. We know their names. They number 1,000 for each one of the red ribbons that we wear here tonight. They finally rest in the warm embrace of the gracious creator of us all. a healing embrace that cools their fevers, that clears their skin, and allows their eyes to see the simple, self-evident, common-sense truth that is made manifest by the benevolent creator of us all, and was written down on paper by wise men, tolerant men in the city of Philadelphia 200 years ago. God bless you all. God have mercy on us all, and God bless America.
How beautiful. That's a great speech.
Yeah, right? I highly recommend everyone go and watch that speech because it's amazing.
Matthew loves to watch a good acceptance speech. He's sat me down for
and
at least a half hour once, if not more, just showing me videos, they're all very good. I do love watching a good acceptance speech, and it's good practice for you. It's manifestation for when you have yours one day.
Exactly. But I thought Tom's acting in this was so good. It was so understated. He wasn't playing a caricature or playing an idea of a stereotype of a gay man. He was just playing a man who deserves justice, who deserves respect, who deserves what everyone else on the planet deserves. And it was just so beautifully done. He wins another Oscar literally the next year for Forrest Gump.
And this was his first Oscar?
Yeah, this was his first, and Forrest Gump was his second.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
It was a
but
great
that's
film.
all I have. Do you have anything?
No, I mean, I just got to say, the cast is stellar. This is honestly I think one of the favorite movies we've watched. I'll get into it, but this is one of my tops for Highbrow, Lowbrow so far.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so do you want to do that thing you do?
Okay, yes. So since we couldn't watch The Burbs, which is one of my favorite movies, we had to do That Thing You Do, which is another one of my favorite movies when I was younger. This song I used to sing around the house all the time. And you, doing that thing you do. It's so good. It's like literally unreal. And I accidentally, when I rented this for us to watch, I got us the extended cut. So it was 2.5 hours. It was longer than Philadelphia. But it was good. I mean, the 2.5 hours, I don't know if it was needed, but it was definitely a nice watch. So
I recommend watching the hour and 45-minute original version.
Okay. So Matthew, let me know the synopsis. Explain it to me like I'm 4 years old. That's a Philadelphia reference.
Oh my God. That's a little throwback to Philadelphia. So I watched this movie hundreds of times as a kid with my sisters. We were obsessed with this movie. We would quote it all the time. But basically, it's set in Erie, Pennsylvania. So we're still in Pennsylvania. There's a theme here.
Wow, Tommy loves the pen.
We do. And it centers around, I guess the main character is this guy named Guy Patterson. He works at his father's electronic shop in the 60s and the early 60s, I think. And he is an incredible jazz drummer who I think he just got off. They mention in the film that he served in the war in Germany, or he served just in the military in Germany right before this. So he's kind of working for his dad, kind of a little lost, and a group of his friends are in this. They're trying to create a band together. One of the band members, the drummer, his name is Chad. He breaks his arm and can't perform at this big talent show that they're supposed to perform for. $100 grand prize for the winner. And so they ask Guy Patterson to join them. And what happens is they are supposed to play this sultry love ballad called That Thing You Do at the competition, but Guy gets so excited that he plays it as an up-tempo. It ends up being a huge dance hit, and it picks up steam really fast. They get asked to play at this Italian restaurant by the airport, and then before you know it, a manager approaches them and wants to help them make a record and get their record on the radio, which he does. And then before you know it, Tom Hanks comes on the scene. He plays a manager with this record company called Playtone Records, and he takes the Wonders. They're called the Wonders ONE, DERS, the Oneaters, but then eventually turn to the Wonders, like wonderful. The Wonders go on tour with some of the stars of the Playtone label, and their hit That Thing You Do just starts climbing the Billboard charts. And before you know it, it's number 7 on the Billboard charts. They're leaving the Playtone tour because they're going to go to Hollywood and they're going to be on a Hollywood showcase and like they're going to blow up. But as is the tale with a lot of one-hit wonders, which this movie is about, group dynamics start to explode. The Band-Aid of the group, should we say, Faye, played by the wonderful Liv Tyler, who's dating Jimmy. Jimmy's the lead singer. She supports the band, but she has friction with Jimmy. Jimmy starts to fall for one of the stars of the Playtone label. One of the other, the bass player of the group, he wants to go and join the Marines. The guitarist and second lead vocalist, played by the amazing Steven Zahn, who honestly is he takes this movie and steals it from everybody.
I have to say, I completely agree with you. He's my favorite part of this movie.
Movie has all the best lines, all the best jokes. Like bar none.
I wonder what happened to the Oneaters. I can quote this movie all day.
So good. Group dynamics sort of take over and they have a huge success at the Hollywood Showcase, but the band breaks up just like that. And this sort of underlying romance that's been occurring between Guy and Faye comes to fruition at the very end. And even though this isn't based on any real band, they do a really cute Where Are They Now after the movie, after the breakup, and everyone kind of goes their separate ways. And it's just a really such a cute, smart, snappy film about bands and one-hit wonders. And Tom Hanks wrote and directed this movie. And that's all. I won't get into what I thought about Tom just yet, but that's basically the synopsis of the film.
Yeah, you've got it down. Yeah, first of all, watching this now again as an adult and kind of knowing actors and actresses and all of that, shocked by the people that are in this. The original drummer is Phoebe's brother from Friends. I had no idea. I was like, oh my gosh. You've got Charlize Theron playing Guy's old girlfriend who like ends up running off with the dentist. She's great in this. She's the perfect for this role. I mean, I love Liv Tyler. I watched this with my family here in Mexico, and my grandpa kept going, she is so young. She looks so young every time Liv Tyler came on the screen. And I was like, yeah, this movie came out like 30 years ago. But did you catch Bryan Cranston too? Like a little cameo? Okay, I have a question. Was the annoying frat boy that was always trying to pick up chicks, was that Steve Buscemi? No. Never mind. No. And also the sister of Guy sounded eerily like Bernadette Peters.
He gives major Steve Buscemi vibes, but no, that was not. No.
Okay.
No, that was like
not Steve. Wow, he's been working for a while.
No, but he plays that sort of small role in every film, like that antagonizing.
Oh, Adam Sandler has milked him for that for all he's worth. Trust us, we know. But yeah, it's about the one-hit wonders, the Oneaters, the Wonders, and yeah, I have to agree with you. Mr. Zahn is the best part of this entire movie. I was watching it being like, my whole thing was I was watching it being like, who could I remake this with now? That was kind of the idea. I thought Guy Patterson, honestly, I wrote in my notes Shawn Mendes because he looked so much like a tall, skinny Shawn Mendes. But I was trying to figure out like who could be that like Steve Zahn character, and I was thinking the guy who played his son, the kid who played his son in White Lotus would be perfect for this. That's immediately who I thought of, who we also saw in Pam and Tommy.
Yes, I might have Miles Teller play
Guy Patterson. Yeah,
Guy Patterson, and Sean would probably play Jimmy, I think.
Yeah, but no, Shawn Mendes can't act. We did not see, but we've heard about Lyle Lyle Crocodile. I'm not giving that kid anything yet. Like he's a little YouTuber.
He plays a crocodile. He's not an actor. He's a voice actor in that. You can't. I mean, again, I'm not defending Shawn Mendes, but also
I mean, he also did act in a relationship with Camille Cabello but we're not going to get into that either.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I just thought, again, the original, this extended version was great. Don't get me wrong, but like, Tom was so smart to cut the fat.
Yes,
like the extra 30 minutes that we watched, like you don't need it because the standard version is just much more fast paced, like, and it which kind of mimics like the fast paced nature of like their rise to fame. I thought, to talk about Tom's directing for a second, I thought it was shot beautifully. The casting was fantastic. I love the use of music throughout, and it's all original music, which I thought was great. And it was so nice to see Tom in this sort of, not the leading man, but the sort of, he's sort of the voice of reason.
Yeah.
Throughout the film. And I loved him sort of being the conscience. Like he straddles like, working for the man, working for the label, and kind of being a slave to the label, but also is sort of the little angel on Guy's shoulder and on everyone's shoulder, being like, you can still keep who you are and keep your integrity and be in this business. You don't have to be Saul, what's his face, that gross record,
he
exec.
was so disgusting, yeah.
Ugh, God, I remember being a kid and that he grossed me out, and then him eating his sandwich.
And
like,
making the
I remember
sandwich,
just hating him as a kid.
I gagged watching this as an adult when he's like, no, you don't need to use all this plastic stuff, and he like picks up the meats and like dunks them in the mustard. I was like, please, I would faint if that happened in real life. But
gross.
No,
but yeah, I loved Tom at the end talking to Guy about one-hit wonders and about like, it's a story that's told over and over, and I loved him being like, everyone has a role, and he wanted to remind Guy that Guy is smart. Like, you are the smart one. You this isn't going to be your story. Like, you have more to give, and you have other things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Steve Zahn, he had the best one-liners. I remember my sisters and I cracking up when he would kiss the cutout of the girl when their song was on the radio, him playing Go Fish with those guys at the bar, him being like, I am going to win that blue ribbon. Just so good.
Oh, yeah, with the pig at the state fair, that's a great line. But I think my favorite line is they're asking them all their favorite like artists and their favorite singers, and he's like, he does like the whatever in the Shrimp Shack or whatever, like the
Captain
fake band
Geach
in
and
their
the
show.
Shrimp Shack Shooters.
He's so good. It's so good. It's a great, I mean, if you haven't seen That Thing You Do, first of all, who are you? Because this is a classic film, but like,
so good.
It would be considered lowbrow, I guess, like in the sense that like it is kind of like, it's not like an Oscar film. It's nothing like that, but it is like magic. It is special.
It was nominated for Best
really
Original Song.
Story.
It didn't win, but it was nominated for Best Original Song.
For That Thing You Do? For the song? I mean, why didn't it win? I bet did Diane Warren write it? Is that why it didn't win? Because
no, I honestly, I swear, I need to look back, but like, I want to say one of these 2 years, The Lion King won Best Song.
Circle of Life?
Either 93 or 94, or either.
Tonight?
Yeah, or no, because
I just can't
3 or 4 songs from The Lion King were nominated for that year. Oh, no, I think that was the year that Philadelphia, I couldn't remember because I was hopping between 96 and 94 in terms of my stats.
Okay.
But yeah, it was nice to see Tom play a more subdued,
totally,
cold, but also with a cold but with a heart of gold kind of character.
Yes.
And I even more so than because when I was a kid, I always thought Jimmy was such a little brat.
Shit. Yeah.
And I was like, you don't get it. Like, you guys are just starting out. Like, you play the game for a bit and then you get to do whatever you want to do. And in this extended version, I felt that even more. It's like you don't get to call the shots. Like, you are just starting out. Like, be great. And I love just Steve's character being like, oh yeah, they're such assholes. They're after us, like putting us up here in this nice hotel, like playing our record on the radio, a bunch of snakes. It's like, you gotta like enjoy the beginning of this, and then once that's done, you get to write your own songs and do your own thing later.
Exactly. Yes. No, he really pissed me off. I have to say, Liv Tyler in this is astounding.
So good.
She plays like she's so fragile the whole movie and she plays it so well. Like, you just want to take care of her the whole time. I'm always just like, why are you letting this Jimmy boy take control of you? But the love between her and Guy had been forming for the whole time, and you can tell she's infatuated with him the moment she meets him. But I love the bologna sandwich. Yeah.
And I loved him like always wanting to know where she was, checking in, like he
pulling her into the car when they almost get separated. He gives her the shout out on the radio. He does so much.
Because they would be nothing without her. They would be nothing without her.
And that's what he says. He's like, you were the one who the lightning struck you and you put that into us. You named our band. You got us from whatever to the Wonders. Like, you were the one who made us. So that's why we need you.
Oh, and I love that speech that she says, like, I have wasted thousands of kisses on you. Kisses that I thought were special. And then she said, shame on you for me kissing you with my eyes so tight. Like, Tom Hanks, like, such great writing.
Great writing. Oh, this movie is so good. Yeah, no, I'm so glad. I mean, I didn't know that it was one of your favorite movies, but I'm glad that you enjoyed it as well.
Oh my God. Because again, like, it was either this or Splash or the most recent Pinocchio remake or Polar Express. And we were like, let's not put people through any of that.
Yeah, I was like, if we're going to do something, not The Burbs, which we'll do The Burbs eventually, I'm going to find out a way for us to, I might buy it. Like I had to buy Showgirls for us to watch Showgirls the first time. And so.
Oh my God, we should totally do Showgirls.
That's a season 2. That's a season 2. And we also, by doing That Thing You Do, we kind of double dipped a little bit and we gave a preview of something we're going to be doing in season 2, which is we're going to be throwing directors in the mix as well. So this was a fun way to kind of look at Tom Hanks as a writer and director of this film and kind of analyze it in that way as well, because it's a whole different, I mean, he was in this obviously, but it was interesting to see his vision and understanding. And maybe it's good that we watched the extended cut because we kind of got to see the movie as a whole of what he wrote and like his entire idea. And obviously he had to cut it down, and that's also his vision as well. But you know, it's the way he, I think, yeah, the way that the story goes, it's just so quick, and it didn't really feel like 2 hours because it's like you're on this ride with the band, you're on this ride with the Wonders.
Yeah, well, and I think it's so funny, like Tom Everett Scott is like a young Tom Hanks.
Yes.
And the guy playing his father is like Tom Hanks now.
Yes.
And I love that his wife Rita Wilson is in it and plays this like
I love her.
Brassy like bartender with like a heart of gold.
My dad goes, "Do you know who that is?" And I was like, "It's obviously Rita Wilson. We love her." By the way, I have to give a shout out to my dad really quick because he got to Mexico and goes, "So I have to let you know on my flight," and he flew American. He's like, "I was able to watch All About Steve and Cursed," and I was like, "Those were on the plane." He's like, "Yeah, could you believe it?" And I was like, He's like, not only did I binge your episodes, I got to watch both of those movies. So I have to give a shout out to my dad because I was like,
we love Edward Sr. That's amazing. I also love that did you catch that his son was also in it?
Yes. Colin was
escorted
in it as well.
Liv Tyler into the Hollywood Showcase. I love that. And also in this extended version, it is heavily implied that he is gay, that Tom Hanks' character is gay.
Yes.
And I was obsessed with that. I loved that. Because again, those moments with that guy, with the guy in the car and the guy who he makes Bryan Cranston call later, like that's all cut from the first film.
Yeah.
And I was like obsessed.
Yeah,
I was like, you go Tom Hanks, way to rep for us.
In both movies.
Oh, speaking of which, one thing I did actually, to go back to Philadelphia for a second, because Tom was recently interviewed in 2022 about Philadelphia, and he said like it was an honor to do that film and an honor to represent what it represented, but if it was made today, I would never be cast in that role, and rightfully so. Like if they ever made a movie like that today, I would want someone in that role who fully knows that experience, who understands
Jim
that.
Parsons.
Or yeah, exactly. And I just thought that, but I love that. I love Tom. Like I just love that he was able to honor us back then, but also now understands that like it's time for us to actually be the ones to tell the stories. I just think that between both films, these just show what a great artist he is, what a great guy he is, like how much integrity he has, and like he's just. I hope he keeps. I mean, I think he will, obviously, but I just want to. I'm excited to. I've sort of fallen back in love with him, and I can't wait to keep watching him because again, I still think my favorite Tom Hanks film is Sleepless in Seattle. I think that's going to be my favorite Tom Hanks film ever. And You Got Mail is also so good. But yeah, I'm glad that we did him season 1 because he's a king.
We might bring him back for season 2. We might have a couple of or season 3. We might have some repeat offenders because people like this. I mean, I've also never seen Castaway, which I didn't tell you, but I was not ready to sit down and do it. What is it, like 4 hours?
It is so freaking good. You cry through most of it. It's it's insane. Well, and Tom beat out a lot of good people. Like it was Philadelphia didn't get nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, none of that because this was the same year as Schindler's List.
Oh, wow.
Age of Innocence, Remains of the Day. Like, it was a very heavy year. He beat out Liam Neeson for Best Actor. He killed it.
See, I think my favorite Tom Hanks film is Big, but that's also because I grew up watching them. That was one of the movies that I had at my cabin
good.
That I would just put in all the time.
That was his first nomination, was Big.
Oh, really? Deserved.
Yeah.
Well deserved. And I loved going to FAO Schwartz and pretending to be him on the big piano. Because there was an FAO Schwartz in San Francisco. So whenever we used to go to FAO Schwartz or the city. Oh,
fun.
And I think there was like another, another giant keyboard later. But love
Well,
that
it was
stuff.
in FAO Schwartz was in New York on Fifth Avenue across from the plaza. But then the Apple Store moved in there. And it closed down. But now there's a new FAO Schwartz somewhere in Manhattan. I'm not sure where it is now.
It will never be the original. It will never be the same. But yeah, what a great episode. I mean, I think these were both great movies. Like I said, if you haven't watched them yet, go watch them. I believe Philadelphia is on Hulu. So if you want to watch
Hulu for free, it's great. It's perfect.
And then That Thing You Do, you have to rent, but
it's $3 and it's worth it.
Buy the movie. It's worth it. It's such a rewatchable movie. All right. So highbrow and lowbrow moment of each film and your ratings. So should I go first or do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess I'll do my highbrow, lowbrow moment of That Thing You Do. So my highbrow moment, honestly, my favorite is my highbrow moment is the montage of their song climbing the charts. I love the way it was shot and I love that. The lowbrow moment is probably when the guy is trying to tell a joke at the talent show and the other guy is like, "You're a jerk, dude." He goes, "Shut the fuck up, I'll kick your ass." That's my favorite part.
And what would you rate That Thing You Do? How many Matthews?
I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Woo, that's high, Matthew.
I know. It was fabulous. It was so good. I forgot how good it was, and I'm glad I got to rewatch it.
I'm glad I got to rewatch it as well. Okay, I'm gonna do Philadelphia. So I think my highbrow moment has to be. I'm gonna say it was that shot that I talked about with, where it's just the different shot of basically from Denzel's point of view, looking at that first meeting with Tom Hanks. I just thought that was such a brilliant way to kind of portray the anxiety of that first meeting between the two of them and kind of show his prejudice without outrightly saying this guy is homophobic and prejudiced against people with this disease. My lowbrow moment. I don't know. I thought the weird cut of like the porno movie theater was not needed. Like where it's like, "Hi, I'm Robert," and like, "Hi, I'm Andrew." Like I thought that was kind of like not needed. Like because like there was no other real fantasy sequence in the courtroom. I don't know. It didn't really bring anything for me.
I got you.
Know.
I want to know
you
another lowbrow moment is when he's coming out of the courtroom and that guy just goes, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. I was like, oh my God. That literally made me laugh out loud.
I forgot about that part. Yeah, maybe that is also a lowbrow moment for me too. Also, I'm just curious, what was your highbrow moment of Philadelphia? Just because I want to know.
I can't. I love Dan Dowd as the sister, but the mother, when he first calls her at the very beginning of the film,
yes,
and he is just like, "Hey, Mom, my T cells are good, everything's fine," and she just has a moment of like, it's such a great moment of like relief, but also complete fear because with the disease, especially at this time in our history, every day is different. Some days are great, some days are not. So I thought she played that moment beautifully, and it
Yeah.
hit me right off the bat, and I was like, this movie's gonna be good.
Yeah, no, yeah, because it's like, oh, I'm good, and then she asks about like the platelets or something. I was like, oh, it really cements their relationship right at the beginning, that it's like they're open, they're both in this together, the family's there to support. I agree with you. I thought that was great. I'm going to give Philadelphia as well. I'm going to give it 4.5 Eddies out of 5 because I really, really did enjoy this film. It was really great to watch. I'm very glad that you suggested it. It was fantastic.
These were great.
Okay. I'm really excited for next week too. Do you want to reveal who we're doing?
Okay, since we're talking about kings and queens of cinema.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she is, honestly, I feel like she's the queen of she's one of the queens of Hollywood. Is spectacular in almost everything she's in. I cannot wait to do this person. We are doing the incomparable Julia Roberts. Ha ha ha.
Julia.
And the Highbrow film is going to be,
Roberts.
we have to do the Oscar-winning film, Erin Brockovich. And then what's the Lowbrow film?
Well, I know you've seen it already, but I need to see it again. And I feel like it's a classic and I want people to enjoy the movies we were watching. So I'm going to say My Best Friend's Wedding, which
I mean,
it's
good.
Fantastic. And they just did I think they just did a small reunion in Entertainment Weekly or something. So it's been on the forefront of my mind. Like, I need to watch this movie again.
Well, and then we can totally bring all that stuff up too in the episode.
Yeah. And it's a rom-com, so it's lowbrow.
So, My Best Friend's Wedding and Erin Brockovich, y'all. You have a week to watch. I cannot wait. She's amazing, and I can't wait to talk about her.
Me as well. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening this week and for watching on YouTube as well. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and also wherever you're listening, whether that's SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iTunes, or Spotify, the whole shebang. And make sure you also follow us on social media at Highbrow Lowbrow Pod. And we'll see you next time. Have fun, and I'll still be in Mexico for next week.
Yeah, we will be doing this again from Mexico and from New York. Bye, Eddie.
Bye, Matthew. I'll see you soon.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.